Mantic's terrain crates are a great way to spruce up your tabletop.
Spiky bits.
Whether you play RPGs or perhaps war games in general and just want to spruce up a corner and or a building section of your table, well, this might be a great place to start. Fresh off a Kickstarter and now over on manticgames.com, the terrain crates for fantasy are right here. You can see how to navigate to it, terrain crate, then fantasy crate. Then they've got 3 different sizes of crates. Of course, you can click on which one for your budget. And speaking of budgets, don't worry, they're not going to rake you over the coals for the convenience of paying in your currency, unlike some other company out there recently did with the resin and has been doing a while with their plastics. But here you can see you've got UK, Great Britain pounds, US dollars here in America, and of course the euro in Europe, all very well priced, no arbitrage shenanigans, at least that I can see right there, doing some quick math in my head, which most of the time is right. Let's be honest. So first off, here you go. You can see the more you spend, the more you get. Of course, these are the $9.99 sets. A larger or medium-sized Treasury set happens to be in here as well. You can see you get more. I think you get 22 in this. You get 5 in this one. Speaking of which, let's check it out because this is one of the ones we're going to show you. $9.99. You get 5 pieces there, a goblet slash plate. And here's some painted examples. Comes already assembled. You might have to clean it up a little bit. I actually primed one. It's out on the porch. I'm going to grab it here in a second to see how well the primer sticks to it. But other than that, we'll get it on the paint table here in a second. Moving into the larger sets, these are going to run you about $30, and there is quite a few more. Wizard Study, Dark Lord's Tower. I didn't get that one. I kind of wanted that one because I wanted to check out that portal. Treasury we just showed you. Dungeon Debris, Torture Chamber, Library, Dungeon Essentials for kicking down those doors on your RPG mats, and Battlefield Objectives, which is probably more suited towards the tabletop itself. So here's what you get, or example of what you get with the Treasury. There's all of those great already pre-assembled miniature. You may have to straighten out a little bit. We'll see here in a second. And there's some painted examples, very cool. 22 pieces, plastic scenery. And there's all of the contents inside of that one. And last but certainly not least are their full-on crates right here. They've only got 3 of those. Battlefield, Dungeon Depths, Town Center. Dungeon Depths is actually what we're going to take a look at today. Here is everything, for the most part, that comes in. I think it's 73 pieces, tons and tons of stuff, color coordinated for the most part. The gold stuff's gold, and then everything else from there is pretty much brown. So you can do a little hobbying on it, or of course it is ready to go out of the box, already pre-assembled. You may just have to do a little bit of straightening and perhaps a little bit of seam scraping, and it should be ready for primer. So like I was saying, no matter what your budget is, there is a terrain crate size for you, of course, and also priced appropriately. Here's the Dragon Hoard and the Treasury we showed you, and the Dungeon Depth. So let's jump in and take a look, starting with the Treasury, because all that stuff's in here. Just to show you I wasn't fibbing, here is the smaller one, and it does come with the same exact stuff. Well, at least 5 of it right there. So jumping into this one, you can see you do get some duplicates, but that's kind of the allure to set up your dungeon. Now, for the most part, these items are a soft plastic of sorts. While it does retain a pretty good amount of detail, you can see the individual indentations on all the coins and things, and the round lips. When things start to kind of deviate a little bit past, it gets a little bit wonky and kind of bendy right there. So you might be able to hit it with a little heat and apply that back, or push that back. I actually don't have a lot of experience with that sort of thing, but I would imagine that would be the case. Now, as you go through and maybe want to scrape some of these lines, you can do that, but it's going to require a little bit of a soft touch, so to speak, because let me show you. So these actually come in a little plastic bag, and you can see here in this goblet, there's a big seam line in there. So I went ahead and grabbed my scraper and hit it with a little bit of that, and it is doable. You just have to put a little bit of work into it right there to get it to the point that you want a hobby on it, but you are able to do it. So 22 pieces here, you get some little plinths that you can put some of these treasures and things on if you want, like the little crown jewels and things. Very, very neat. Like I said, it holds detail pretty well. You can tell that's definitely a crown of sorts, and a little probably purple pillow to go on it. And then you've got your sword and a stone and all sorts of different things. So you can have fun setting up a lot of different scenarios and things with this terrain. And this is just the treasure stuff right here already. So 22 pieces for $30, all pre-assembled and ready to go. Pretty well detailed. You just have to kind of clean it up a little bit in some parts and maybe apply a little bit of heat if you're serious about hobbying on it. And speaking of hobbying on your terrain, here is some primered crates right here out of the next box. Well, maybe the next box I'm about to show you. Like they say, it is pre-assembled. You can tell this was 3 different sections right here. But I mean, the detail's good. The soft plastic definitely holds detail, and it holds primer just fine. Standard Army Painter matte black right there. It makes a great undercoat if you want to start doing browns and stuff. Of course, you could hit it with leather brown and then wash it down from there. And since I got the camera zoomed in this far, let's show you some of that better look at all the detail. Look at all those wondrous coins. And is that some sort of suitcase or a lockbox full of gold treasure as well? A whole bunch of that, and some goblets and things. And then here's a better look at the goblet and chalice that we hobbied on. So you can definitely get it flush and flat. You just have to put a little bit of work into it right there. And sometimes, you know, that may take a while, but if you're looking to hobby up a set of RPG terrain that'll last you for a long time, well, hey, this might be a really good affordable alternative. And then the Dungeon Depths terrain crate right here is a really good variety of all of these things. I forgot it came with the dungeon trap little tiles and things right there as well. So you've got some of the treasury stuff, some of the dungeon stuff, like the little sarcophagus with the little skeletons and things, mummies, tables. There's even dishes to go on the tables, more traps, ladders, candle holders, all sorts of different things, barrel sets, more tables, benches, piles of different things, boxes, all sorts of recliners, mirrors, logs. I don't even know. It's all in here. Very, very extravagant things that you would expect. Implements of torture, the bookcases, and of course the wizard study, the little crazy thing. I don't know why every wizard has to have one of these, but he has to know how the things rotate around each other because he's smart. And to give you an idea of just how big some of these terrain features are, we've enlisted our friend, I don't know, the Wood Elf to give us an idea of just how big they are, because I actually don't have any D&D figures. Actually, I have Snazbottom right here, but he's a little guy. But there's Snazbottom. You can kind of see how he stacks up to some of the terrain. And here's some of the tables and things. Well, that's actually a torture table. So, well, maybe you don't want to stack up to that one right there quite yet. And then you got piles of loot and plunder. There's some loot and plunder. Definitely a good size. And maybe let's get one more thing here. Some of these actual tables. A table and a bench for this little guy. Just to give you an idea of how far he comes up right there from the top down, like you would be playing the game itself. And there it is. And of course, if you really absolutely have to have Space Marines in your medieval dungeon, well, that's about how big they will stack up to that as well. So pretty good sizes all the way around. And like I said, pre-assembled, ready to go out of the box. So overall, I think for the price, this is really good quality to kind of get some really exciting accessories to spruce up both your tabletop dungeons and perhaps also your tabletop buildings for whatever needs you might have that won't rob your treasury, so to speak, right there. So whatever your budget is, they got something for you. Mantic has always been the leader in affordable kits, and now the same deal for the tabletop, but now also the same deal for terrain as well. So make sure you check out manticgames.com to get in on these terrain crates. And for all you sci-fi lovers, it looks like they're going to be doing sci-fi crates soon too as well.
Spiking bits.